Hi, I'm Ralph, and welcome to the Ageless Runner. If your glutes aren't doing their job, your legs work harder, and you still slow down, this is the most common hidden speed limiter for runners over 50. Most runners never realize it's happening. From the side, running looks like a leg sport, but speed doesn't come from your feet. It comes from your hips, and more specifically, your glutes. Let's simplify this. Your glutes are the primary engine of propulsion in running. They drive hip extension, push-off power, and forward momentum. Biomechanical research shows that gluteus maximus is a major contributor to forward propulsion, especially as running speed increases. Here's the key distinction most runners miss. Quads lift you, calves assist you, but glutes move you forward. When glutes fire on time and with enough force, each stride moves you forward efficiently. And when they don't, everything else works harder for less return. So what happens to the glutes after 50? Well, this is where age quietly changes the game. First, there's age-related muscle loss, something called sarcopenia, and it typically affects large, powerful muscles early, like the glutes, reducing strength and power output with age. Then there's prolonged sitting. Us older people tend to sit around more, right? Long hours of sitting shortens the hip flexors and reduces neural activation to the glutes, leading to delayed or reduced firing during movement. Third, there's weakened neural drive. That's the brain-to-muscle signal becomes slower and less precise as we get older. That affects timing, not just strength. So the result, glutes fire later, not at all, and hamstrings and calves compensate, and stride shortens. And running feels harder at the same pace. Nothing is broken, the engine just isn't engaging. And this is how speed disappears quietly. When glutes underperform, hip extension decreases, force per stride drops, and ground contact time increases. Research links reduced hip extension and longer ground contact time to slower speeds and poorer running economy. And many runners respond or overcompensate by overstriding, pushing hard with the calves, or just trying to muscle the speed. That only increases inefficiency. One of the biggest complaints you hear most often is, my legs feel heavy, but my lungs feel fine. So let's be clear, that's not a cardio issue, that's a glute activation issue. If you're enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you. Now, there are some mistakes runners make, and here's where runners get stuck. Mistake number one is running more. Running reinforces the existing movement patterns. If your glutes are quiet, you just practice more of the same. Mistake number two is stretching without activation. Stretching hip flexors alone does not restore glute firing patterns. And mistake number three, heavy lifting without control. Heavy squats often shift work to the quads and lower back, especially with limited squat depth or in fatigue. Remember this, you can be strong and still have lazy glutes. Strength does not equal coordination. So now we're going to talk about how to rebuild glute power, because that's where speed comes back. And you don't need any fancy equipment. You don't need any maximum weights. You do need to be intentional and practice controlled effort. The first exercise, if you do no other exercises, do this one. This is the one I do. They're called glute bridges. And why does this matter? Because it teaches full hip extension, which is the exact motion that drives running. So how do you do it? It's very simple. Lie on your back with knees bent, feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Brace your core gently, then drive through your heels and lift your hips. Squeeze your glutes at the top for 1 to 2 seconds, then lower them in a very controlled manner. The key cues here is squeeze, don't arch, and no pushing through the lower back. Studies show that you get high gluteus maximus activation during bridges with minimal spinal load. Now, if you want to increase the intensity of the exercise, do it one leg. In other words, when you're lying on the floor with your knees bent, extend one leg. And then as you push up with the other leg, lift that leg up with you as you lift up your hips. Really taxes the glutes. Again, do both legs. Exercise number 2 are step-ups. This is one of the most runner-specific strength exercises you can do. And it works because it focuses on single leg loading, and it mimics running force direction, and it trains hip-driven propulsion. So how do you do it? Well, stand in front of a box or a step no higher than your knees. Place one foot fully on the box or the step, then drive through with the heel of that working leg. And at the top, stand tall and don't push off the back leg. Then lower yourself slowly and under control. This type of unilateral strength training improves force symmetry and stride efficiency. Again, you're going to do both legs. And the third exercise is a little difficult for me. I don't do them very often, are split squats. And split squats do address any left-right glute imbalance you may have, which can steal speed. So how do you do it? Well, you want to take a split stance. Have the forward foot flat on the floor, take your rear foot and rest it lightly on a chair or a bench, something like that. And then on the foot that's on the floor, you want to drop straight down, keeping your torso straight. So it's kind of like a semi-squat. And your front knee should track over your toes. Then push through that heel to stand back up. Now, this exercise reinforces hip stability and force transfer, which are critical for efficient running mechanics. So how often should we do these? Well, 2 sessions a week is more than enough. Think about 2 to 4 sets per exercise. Now, I didn't talk about number of repetitions. That's something you need to figure out yourself, but don't do it until you're exhausted. Do enough reps that if you had to, you could do 2 more, but don't do those last 2 because you want to give yourself a full rest between each set. And remember, you're training coordination and power, not chasing soreness. Now, how do stronger glutes make you faster? Well, again, here's the payoff. When glutes do their job, each stride produces more force. Ground contact time shortens, and running economy improves. Targeted hip and glute strength training has been shown to improve running economy and speed without increasing aerobic demand. Translation, that means you run faster with the same heart rate and less effort. Remember, speed gains don't always come from running faster. They come from restoring the engine. So let's wrap up. Remember, you didn't lose speed because you got older. You lost it because your engine went quiet. Wake up the glutes, train them intentionally, and let speed come back the smart way. Now, if you'd like more help in running faster after 50, check out my playlist for more science-backed ways to run stronger, link down in the description. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Again, I'm Ralph, the Ageless Runner. I'm here to help you run smarter, go longer, stay ageless. Thank you for being here.